Welcome to the Izzy Chinche Show.
And this is what, like, obviously people's complaint with, like, AI is it, like, removes, like, a human aspect from the situation.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it's doing. Like, that doesn't account for, like, someone's work ethic.
I'm so excited you're able to tune in. Join me as I interview athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers. I also share much about my life struggles, trials, and successes in hopes to inspire you. I intend for this show to be one of the greatest shows of all time, so your listening and support means the most to me. My goal is to help inspire as many people as possible, so please share with a friend if you enjoy just one thing from today's episode. Together, we can help more people grow. Let's get started. Let's just get into it. Everyone already knows. You're Erin Patterson. You've been here before, but we didn't talk about recruitment. So,
We didn't.
at all. And I was like, we probably should.
Yeah.
So, but I did text you. I want to talk about AI.
Yes.
And the recruitment world because a parent just sent me their kids. You know what Trace is?
No.
So Trace is just a soccer
I might have.
video thing.
Okay.
Like a video thing, whatever. Video system that tracks kids' players, but because of AI, it's like getting very advanced.
Okay.
So the AI Trace system records the game and tracks each player individually and at each moment that they have touched the ball. Like, a person doesn't do anything. And so after the game, the players can go in and click on them and they can look at every single time they had interaction with the ball.
Okay.
And it's just automatic. Like, it does it, it uploads it, it gets it done. It's insane. But I was curious, and I was like, okay, so I started looking at more videos about what AI is actually doing, and it's able to, like, analyze players and predict their, like, growth rate, predict how they would mesh with another team, even. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, this player did it. Like, it's insane. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to another level.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I'm like,
Oh boy.
that was a lot. But I was just watching those videos and, like, learning about that. And I was like, oh my gosh. And even personality-wise, it's advancing in a way that's going to be able to, like, judge, is this player going to be a good fit with this team dynamic? Is their style going to be able to fit in well? And, like, because it's all getting automated and it's AI and everything, it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
So it's trickling down to, like, high school and club and, like, everyone's going to be getting all this data that, like, professionals would pay so much, and that's the only reason they can have it. But now everyone has that kind of data.
Right.
And now I'm like, oh my, I'm not about it right now, so that's how I want to chat about it.
Yeah, that's nuts. I mean, I think, like, if the end goal is to see, you know, if someone's going to be a good fit in a style of play or the team, that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of, like, where like the magic happens, or, like, where that wouldn't be a good thing is, like, when you do have to, like, work with other types of players to, like, come together to form a style of play.
Chemistry. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of, like, I don't know. I like it, but I also, and it, like, reminds me of this chart I saw the other day. So this is just, there's a account on LinkedIn. It's called Visual Capitalist.
Okay.
And it just, not related to sports really.
Yeah. No, I don't care.
It's just, like, visualizations of graphs and stuff, and of data that make it, like, super easy to understand for, like, me, who, like, doesn't live in that world. But they're really cool. And I saw one about AI and like the growth of AI, and at what year they're guessing, like, each type of AI will, like, plateau. So it was like, I think one of them was like, when will AI stop being able to, like, do X thing that a human can do? And I think it was like interact with children or something. And it was like, this is the year where, like, that.
But what about when there's, like, robots that are, like, people? I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think it's the technology won't continue to progress fast enough.
Oh, wow.
Because it's kind of like, you think about, like, an iPhone, you know, like, usually, like, when a new phone comes out, the only change is usually, like, okay, how it looks on the outside, or, like, the camera, like, capability. Like, if you go in and look at that, like, a lot of them are not, they're not that much different than the one before.
Yeah.
And I think in certain realms, that's where you're going to get with AI. Again, I know nothing about it, but this chart was like super interesting, and it gave like 5 or 6 different like segments of AI, and like I think half of them were like not really anything you need to be worried about, but like half of them are like, okay, these are going to surpass
these ones
humans.
Are going to go,
and might be the end of us. I don't know, but yeah, so that was just really interesting. But I had no idea when you texted me this. I was like, I don't even know. What she's gonna talk about.
No, I just recently started. I haven't connected it. I've like thought about it, but I haven't actually like looked into it. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, man, it also. And this is something I've already been kind of, I guess, concerned with. Is just like the gap in soccer. It becoming so competitive so fast. Yeah. It's like, you know, the 7-year-old trains 8 times a week and it's life or death for them. And it's like, man, I don't know if we're doing that right. And then I see these other like coaches talking about if you can't do this by then you're not going to make it. And like all this stuff, it's getting so intense. I'm like, now that we're going to be able to have this instant data on players, like immediately. When you touch the ball with the outside of your left foot, you touched it 2 inches too wide every single time, whatever. And like then being like, oh, I just got to do something. Like that feedback is going to just give so many people the chance to improve so fast. It's kind of crazy, but then it's going to be like, it's just probably going to separate, right? Like there's only going to be the people who can afford all that, and then there's no going to be no in between anymore. It's going to be like either it's your life or you're out, kind of, you know.
Yeah,
I hate that though.
Yeah, I do too. It's just gonna like remove like the fun, I think. Yeah, and like also gonna remove a lot of people at a really early age. Yeah,
exactly. You're like, oh, you're not, because AI is gonna take the data and be like, oh, physically, athletically, mentally, already, this kid is in the whatever percentile. There's your information. No. Right. And then that person's going to take it and probably be out, and the other person's going to hear it and go for it. But it's like that. I see that coming for sure. Yeah. They're going to use these AI systems, analyze these players early on, and then tell players early on, you have potential, you don't. Like yes or no, instead of like life and fate and everything. You know what I'm saying?
And this is what like obviously people's complaint with like AI is it like removes like a human aspect from the situation, and that's exactly what it's doing. Like that doesn't account for like someone's work ethic or like or like how much they're gonna like spend time in the gym or like
or injury or all these other things. But then it's probably gonna get so advanced it's gonna start doing that and analyzing potential of work rate and all those things. Yeah, but before it's it's probably going to be like yes or no. Right. Oh, it's based on the data, because now every single game ever is going to be tracked, and all the data for every single player is going to be like available. Yep. Probably to like all coaches, you're going to pay some sort of fee, and then you're going to be able to look up whatever player and pretty much every game that they are in that was like traced. You're going to have data to. Like that's insane. It is. And like I'm thinking like big, but I'm like, there's no way it's not going to head that way because everything's going to get streamlined. Yeah. And it's going to be like, oh, yeah. It's not going to be like, oh, do you have film? It's like, oh, what's that player's film? Yeah. What's their da-da-da-da-da? And then they're going to be able to pull that data. I don't know. It's just crazy. Yeah. It's insane, but it's going to happen. Yeah. There's no stopping it.
Yeah, it's like it's too late to stop it now.
So, start learning about it. Start learning about it. And honestly, someone's gonna come up with a great business and be in charge of all that film, like have that film. Right. Like, I mean, if Trace isn't doing it now, they're probably gonna start keeping it all in one portal so that coaches then get their data from there. Pull the players that they need. Like, it's just insane. It's insane. I know I'm like throwing a lot at you, but I was like, I've had this inside.
Well, I'm like, okay, so maybe like gone are the days of like in college we would sit and watch film. And the coach would be like, Erin, that was like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, now AI is just going to tell you what they're doing.
You're going to get your data. Well, and this is what this video was saying. It's like now these families, they're headed home from their games and they're just watching their trace on their phone, talking about like right after the game. Right. And then the coach goes up. I see videos of like 10-year-olds going over film now. I'm like, that's insane. It is crazy. You're like, wow, like, we're kind of taking the fun out of this.
Yeah, totally.
And I feel like we all get better when we're having fun. So it's a dangerous game also to, like, make it just a job.
Yeah.
And then you get into it.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like, at high levels, it's a great thing, I think. Because the people are, like, developed enough to take what, like, the technology is giving in a positive way.
Exactly.
And you're not, like, ruining, like a childhood of playing sports.
You're not ruining a childhood. Yeah.
Like, it's nuts.
Yeah. I know. I think, I feel like it could go in one of two ways, where it could help a lot of players in a really positive way, and we could all have our minds open to a lot, or it's just going to, like, segregate.
Yeah.
And it's like, either you're in or you're out.
Right.
I kind of feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah.
more than the other
one.
But we can try and make it go the other way.
Yeah.
But I like that now it still is old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Reaching out to a coach, and we can actually have that. And that's what I tell all the players now. Like, you're lucky it's not all AI right now.
Yeah.
You're so... I mean, I think you're lucky because you still have so much more of a human experience with it. And, like, whatever your individuality is, like, whatever is unique about you, like, that can still help you to get recruited.
Right.
I mean, at least now.
Yeah. I would agree. It hasn't switched yet. And I mean, I think, like, it's a lot of things. Like, we're sitting here now and we're like, oh, well, that, like, now it's here, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it's, like, on the horizon, but it's still, like, further out than we maybe thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you were a kid, it's like, oh, like, 2020 is going to be, like...
the end of the
like
world.
Like, robots and flying cars.
Yeah.
And, like, no. Like, not all of life is robots and flying cars yet.
Not yet.
Like... And there are still some places in, like, life where that hasn't touched yet. So I think like, people really need to take advantage of it.
Yes. And that's what I'd say going into the recruitment world now. That'd probably be my biggest piece of advice. And I talk about this with every player that I'm, like, helping get recruited. You need to promote yourself.
Yeah.
You have to promote yourself. And right now we can still do that in a very individual way. By emailing, like, we actually get an email to coach and, like, say something personal and da-da-da-da-da and have a campus visit, not just like, oh, they pulled all my data from the last 5 years. They, you know, I look like a good fit, you know?
Right, right.
But what do you think helped you get recruited? Like, what was, like, one of the biggest things for you in your process of recruitment?
I think, well, one, just... like the club I was a part of.
Yeah.
And I think,
in a
like,
good club. Yeah.
I think, like, it's just so important. Like, I knew a lot of talented players that just weren't putting themselves in front of the right people or, like, surrounding themselves with the right people. So I think that was a big thing. I also think, like, honestly, just, like, not, like you said, like, being personal about it, like, just not trying too hard in these situations. Like, because, like, obviously the coaches that recruit you are, like, interested in you, you know? Yeah. And, like, someone's not going to just recruit you because, like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
So, like, find out, you know, what the reason is.
Yeah.
And see if it's, like, the reason you want to be recruited, you know?
Oh, I like that.
Because, I mean, I had ones that was like, oh, like, we think you'd be a good fit, like, at our school, like, academically, you know? Like, but you'd probably be, like... We kind of want you, like, for our, like, numbers or, like, a GPA or, like... and it's like, okay, that's, like, if someone... Like, because I knew girls like that, too. Yeah. Like, that's totally fine.
They had a great GPA. And
and they were, like, average. On top of it. They were just, like, really, really intelligent. Like, okay soccer players. Yeah. They were good. But it's like... Or do you want to be recruited because,
we want you to play for the team.
Holistically a good fit.
Yeah.
And, like, you're going to really, really make an impact. So, but, I mean, people get recruited for all kinds of reasons. So, but I think being at a club where, you know, like, some girls had committed before me. Yeah. And, like, a lot committed after me. Like, I feel like I was sort of on the early side of it just because it was, like, a successful Division I program. So, like, that's how they were recruiting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like, the Power 5 girls were, like, early. Like, freshmen.
Yeah, well, they're literally recruiting kids now in, like, or not not actually recruiting because they can't.
Right.
But like in 8th grade. You're like, this is our assumed player for this position. Yeah. And then it's a verbal commitment as soon as possible. And then an actual written commitment.
It's like because they can't do it in writing as early now.
Exactly.
But it's like...
And they would if they could. They'd be like, okay, it's insane. Like Stanford and UCLA, like they're signing these kids early.
Yeah.
And then it's like, man, you committed, you like had that in your heart. 13. That you were there. 5 years later, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
Like that's already all been decided for you.
Right.
You know? That's scary.
Yeah,
it's like back in the day, you know, you're getting married to this person.
Right.
You know, you're like, wait, I don't know if I want this.
Yeah. Like when it rolls around, you're like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Not what I wanted. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you're stuck in it. I always think about that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really glad that wasn't me. Like, I always wanted that. I was like, I wanted that. Yeah. But I got to always have this freedom of, like, just choosing for myself.
Yeah.
And declining offers and then being able to be like, no, this is actually what I'm going to do.
Yeah. I mean, one of my best friends now who I played soccer with, and she was committed to a different college. And when the coach that had recruited her, like, left.
Yeah.
She ended up, like, not going there.
Yeah.
She, like, decommitted and had to, like, make another, didn't have to, but decided to make another choice.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that, like, I don't want those, like, freedoms or, like, to be taken away.
Yes. And
I don't know.
Well, and I just heard someone talking about this, how, like, this is going side quest for sure, but just, like, the Greek gods in ancient times, like, they envied humans because their humans didn't know. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm so grateful for your support. I'm already excited for the next show. Turn on notifications and be on the lookout for my next episode. Also, please share the show with anyone you feel like might benefit from listening to. Thank you for all your love and support. I will see you soon.